Today's warm-up question asks you to explain each step and how to solve the following problem. And it says you don't even have to actually solve it, although you can. But if you want to just explain the steps, then that's really all it's asking you to do. It says a 375 kilogram polar bear experiences 231 newtons of frictional force as he slides to a stop over 13 seconds. Find his stopping distance. So hopefully you copied this down on your paper. And you should have started by labeling your given information. Even though we're not actually solving it, that's still where you want to start, because you can't figure out which equation to use unless you have identified what variables you have and what you're able to find. So let's read through the question again, and this time we need to kind of mentally, or you can even write it down on your paper, copy down the given information. We know a mass, 375 kilograms, and we know a force. Before I read any further, if I see a mass and a force, I already know that I can solve for acceleration, because I know I have F equals ma, so I've already, right off the bat, determined I can find A. If we keep reading, it says he slides to a stop. That's a final velocity of 0, and it gives us a time, and it wants us to find stopping distance. Well, stopping distance is going to be the displacement, delta x. And delta x shows up in our kinematic equations, but we actually don't have enough information to use any of those kinematic equations unless we first find acceleration or initial velocity, and we need more information so that we can plug in. Okay, and so if we look at this, I already know what my first step is going to be. I know that I need to find acceleration using F equals ma so that I can use my kinematic equations to solve for what we're trying to find. But if you take a look at the kinematic equations, there are 3 of them that have delta x in it, stopping distance. Those 3 equations are delta x equals VIT plus 1/2 AT squared, which I can't use because I don't have VI. VF squared equals VI squared plus 2 times A times delta x, which yet again I can't use because I don't know VI. Or delta x equals VF plus VI divided by 2 times T. I can't use any of those equations because all of them contain initial velocity. So even though I found the acceleration, I still need to find VI. Okay, and so that's going to be step 2, is find the initial velocity, and we're going to be using the 4th equation that I didn't just mention, and that's this one, VF equals VI plus A times T. So the acceleration we find in number 1, we can use in number 2 to find VI, and once we have VI, now we can find delta x. We have options. We can use the initial velocity that we just found in number 2, the acceleration that we found in number 1, and the time from the question to find to find delta x using equation C. Or we can use that initial velocity, and let me just get this out of the way. The initial velocity from number 2, the final velocity that we were given in the question 0, the time, and we can use those to find delta x using equation D. And actually you can even use equation B, I just didn't put it up there. But VF squared equals VI squared plus 2 times A times delta x would also work. So you have options. You can use any of those kinematic equations, but the first thing you have to do is F equals ma and then find VI. Okay, so again, this is a problem that takes 3 steps, and there is more than one way to solve it. You have choices in terms of how you actually get delta x at the end, but you do have to go through those steps first. If you want to actually solve this problem, you can. The numbers are up there, so you're welcome to go ahead and try it. But I don't actually have it solved on my screen, and it's not asked for in the warm-up. But you do need to say what the steps are in the warm-up, so please make sure that you have answered today's warm-up question. Again, you need to be able to go through that thought process for those multi-step problems. You may even see some multi-step problems in today's assignment, 205. But that's what you're going to be doing for the rest of the period, is working on the assignment 205. It is a CFU. It's basically a practice quiz, because tomorrow is your real quiz. Okay, so when you take the one today, I'm going to encourage you to do as much of it by yourself as you can. But it's not independent today. It doesn't have to be. You can use your notes, you can talk to people, you can work on it together. But tomorrow on your quiz, you can't do any of those things. So the more of the assignment that you're able to do independently today, and the better you do on it today, that should be a sign that you're prepared for tomorrow. If you're relying a lot on your neighbor today to help you, that's a sign that you have some preparation that you need to do before you take the quiz tomorrow, and definitely before you take the test on Tuesday. If you are looking for extra practice, if you don't feel confident as you're going through the assignment today, don't forget there is a unit summary in Schoology. That unit summary has extra practice problems. It's a good review for your test or for your quiz, and it is a CFU redo. So if your assignment today doesn't go so well, or maybe one of the ones last week didn't go so well, you can do that unit summary and you can get your redo score for your daily grade. Okay, one other thing I want to mention on today's CFU, it does not give you points on your second attempt. Okay, you can still take a second attempt, but you're only getting credit on the first try. So please read the question carefully. As I said, it's basically a quiz. Okay, but it's a quiz that you can talk to each other on. So use your resources, talk to each other, check your notes if you need to, do whatever you need, but hopefully you're not relying too heavily on those things, because tomorrow you won't be able to. So anyway, that's what you're doing today. Be careful, answer it right the first time, read the question carefully so you don't make those mistakes. And again, you do have a quiz tomorrow, and the one tomorrow is completely by yourself. You won't be able to talk to your neighbor tomorrow, so make sure that you keep that in mind. Again, as a reminder, there is also an optional rocket project due on the 8th of October that can replace your lowest test grade for either Unit 2 or Unit 3, whichever one ends up being lower for you. If you choose to do that project, it can replace it and bring up your overall average. We're doing that, again, as a reminder, because Unit 3, that test for Unit 3 specifically, is on the last day of the marking period. So there's not going to be a chance for a redo before people end up getting dropped if they end up failing. Okay, so hopefully that doesn't apply, and I don't think it's going to apply to many people, hopefully no one. But if it does, you make sure you do that project. That way you're not getting, kicked out of the honors class. Okay, class. All right, guys, go ahead and get to work. 2:05 is your assignment for today. If you don't finish it in class, it is homework. You should be working on your own or with a neighbor, but you're not really relying on me today, or you shouldn't be. I'm not planning to answer your questions unless they're about the directions. Okay, so go ahead and get to it. If you have a question, though, let me know.